Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive, multi-million-dollar headache that literally plagues the industrial world, and that is compliance and verification for critical physical assets. Look, if your organization builds, inspects, operates, or maintains heavy machinery, turbines, or complex infrastructure, you know exactly how painful it is to prove what happened, when it happened, and who actually verified it. So let's dive right in and demystify a platform called ALMFlux to see how it uses this really cool concept called the golden thread to finally solve this problem once and for all.
So I want to start by asking you a question. Why do critical asset projects actually fail? Think about it for a second. For the project managers, stakeholders, and engineers watching this right now who have suffered through those agonizingly delayed handovers or blown budgets, your first instinct might be to point the finger at a lack of technology. But actually, that's a huge misconception.
The counterintuitive truth here is that it's almost never a lack of internal systems. Organizations have plenty of software. The real villain is fragmented evidence. Think about the reality of a massive industrial project for a second. You've got suppliers, inspection agencies, engineering, procurement, and construction firms, or EPCs, asset owners, and auditors. They're all involved, and they are all using completely separate systems. We're talking disconnected spreadsheets, endless email threads, and static PDFs. The actual evidence of reality is just scattered to the wind across a dozen different organizations.
And man, this fragmentation quickly turns into a real-world operational nightmare. When a handover gets delayed, or an auditor suddenly comes knocking, or a high-stakes warranty dispute flares up, teams basically have to drop everything and manually reconstruct reality. They are literally chasing paper and hunting through old emails just to figure out what happened. And that leads to incomplete manufacturer data records, manual follow-ups that drag on for weeks, missing evidence, and a really dangerous lack of visibility into the actual status of an asset.
So what's the fix? Well, the industry doesn't just need another digital filing cabinet. It needs a shared, independently verifiable layer of evidence, and that is exactly what ALMFlux is. It's a blockchain-anchored multi-stakeholder common data environment, or CDE, built specifically for industrial asset evidence. It creates a trusted, immutable record using a permission-managed enterprise blockchain, Hyperledger Fabric specifically. And this is a total game changer because it gives all authorized parties one single defensible version of the truth.
All right, Section 1. A layer, not a replacement, protecting your existing workflows.
Let's clear the air on exactly what this technology is, and just as importantly, what it definitely isn't. ALMFlux is an independently verifiable evidence layer that uses highly secure, role-based access control architecture, and it perfectly aligns with strict industry standards like ISO 19650. But hear me on this, it is absolutely not an ERP or CMMS replacement. You are not ripping out your existing maintenance software. It's also not a public crypto product, so there are no tokens or public ledgers exposing your private industrial data to the world. And it is way more than just a glorified document storage system. Now, if you're an asset operator, you might be sweating a little, wondering about your current software. You can breathe a sigh of relief. The core philosophy here is super simple. SAP and Maximo stay your system of record. ALMFlux just adds the shared, tamper-evident layer. Those massive, multi-million-dollar investments you've already made in SAP or IBM Maximo, they are perfectly safe. ALMFlux simply hooks into them via API to pull and verify the exact data that external parties need to trust. You literally don't have to rebuild a single thing.
Moving on to Section 2, the golden thread, visualizing one verified chain of custody. Okay, so what exactly do we mean by a golden thread? Let's walk through how this is woven during Phase 1 of the asset lifecycle. I want you to imagine an unbroken chain of trust that attaches to a critical asset, let's say a massive industrial compressor, the very moment it begins fabrication. First, the asset is registered and placed on a shared timeline. Next, the inspection and test plan, the ITP, is locked directly to that asset. Step 3 is absolutely crucial. As inspections actually happen out in the field, the event is cryptographically signed and timestamped on the ledger. And hey, if something goes wrong in Step 4, a non-conformance report, or NCR, is recorded immutably against that chain. The data is secured the exact second the fabrication or inspection happens.
And that takes us seamlessly into Phase 2, which is where you really see how this eliminates the whole nightmare of manual handovers. Once an NCR is flagged, Step 1 is the disposition. The fix is decided and recorded. Step 2. The manufacturer data record, the MDR, is compiled practically instantly because all the data is already verified and sitting on the chain. Step 3. Compliance certificates are issued, tracked for expiry, and securely linked. Finally, Step 4. Handover. Instead of wasting weeks manually reconstructing what happened over the last year, custody transfer is executed against one single, universally verified record. It's just an incredibly elegant solution to an awfully messy problem.
Next up, Section 3, the 3 ways in. Targeted modules for specific stakeholders. So how do all these wildly different companies actually interact with this single record? Well, depending on your role, you use a specialized module, because obviously a fabricator has totally different needs than an asset owner. If you're a supplier or fabricator, you're using ILM, Inspection Lifecycle Management. That completely removes the pain of disputed inspection timelines and missing audit evidence. If you're an owner or operator, you use ALM, Asset Lifecycle Management, to instantly solve the headache of fragmented maintenance histories and those messy, weeks-long handovers. And if you're an inspection agency or a TIC firm, you use CLM, Certificate Lifecycle Management. This flat-out eliminates forged PDF certificates and those terrifying situations where compliance certificates expire without anybody noticing. Every capability writes to the exact same verified record.
But here's the kicker. Everyone sees only what they need to see. Because of the platform's permissioned data sovereignty and role-based access controls, you literally never have to worry about inappropriate exposure. You get all the transparency required for good industrial collaboration, but your highly sensitive commercial information remains strictly confidential to authorized parties.
Section 4, ESG Evidence, not guesswork. High-stakes compliance reporting.
Now this verified layer, it becomes incredibly valuable for a massive board-level priority right now, and that's ESG reporting. In the past, this relied heavily on disconnected spreadsheets, PDFs that could easily be altered, and really risky self-attested claims. It was basically a corporate honor system, to be honest. But with ALMFlux, you take the maintenance, inspection, and certificate data you're already generating anyway, and it automatically becomes asset-linked, time-stamped, and independently verified. You're taking your everyday operational exhaust and turning it into ironclad proof for auditors. We're finally moving from an era of ESG guesswork into an era of absolute ESG evidence.
So why does this matter so much right now? Because regulators are cracking down hard. This verified evidence layer is exactly what's required to survive modern mandates. Whether you need CSRD-aligned reporting over in Europe, evidence for the UAE MRV and Decree 11, or you're just getting ahead of the upcoming European Union Digital Product Passport, the DPP. This system makes you ready. You aren't scrambling at the last minute to prove your claims. The proof is inherently built right into the life cycle of your assets.
All right, Section 5, Proving Value Without Risk, the pilot path.
You're probably wondering, how do companies actually start using this without taking on a massive amount of risk? 30 to 60. That is the magic number of days it takes to run a focused capability pilot. They do not believe in those terrifying multi-year, big bang IT rollouts. You can literally prove the value of this technology on your own assets in just 1 to 2 months. It is lightning fast compared to traditional enterprise software deployments.
The pilot process itself is incredibly low friction. First, you define a really tight scope. Usually, we're talking just 1 to 3 assets or one specific project. Second, you connect via API. And I really want to emphasize this. There are 0 infrastructure changes required. You are not ripping anything out. Third, you run the workflow, measure the reduction in operational friction, and then you just decide if it makes sense to scale it up. It's a completely bounded, highly measurable way to prove the value first.
And just to touch on credibility real quick, the team behind ALMFlux is a DIFC license company operating out of Dubai with their headquarters over in Germany. The founding team actually holds over 30 industry field certifications, so they're bringing real-world oil and gas inspection expertise and marrying it with AI and enterprise architecture. They've also been selected for the Blockchain for Good Alliance cohort, and their technical architecture has been rigorously accepted and presented at massive industry events like ADIPEC.
So I want to leave you with one final, provocative question to chew on today regarding your own operations. Right now, today, is your asset evidence a fragile, scattered paper trail, or is it a resilient, immutable golden thread? If you are still relying on manual reconstruction just to survive handovers and audits, it might really be time to rethink your evidence layer. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.